A controlled access highway is a type of highway which has been designed for high-speed vehicular traffic, with all traffic flow and egress regulated. Common English terms are freeway, motorway and expressway. Terms in other languages sometimes seen in English include Spanish autopista or autovía, French autoroute, German Autobahn, Turkish autoyol, Portuguese autostrada, Italian autostrada, Polish autostrada, Croatian autocesta, Hungarian autopálya, Serbian auto-put.Other. Similar terms include Interstate and Parkway, some of which may be limited access highways, although this term can also refer to a class of highway with somewhat less isolation from other traffic. In countries following Vienna Convention, the motorway qualification implies they are forbidden for walking or parking, and reserved for the only use of motorized vehicles. A controlled access highway provides an unhindered flow of traffic, with no traffic signals. Intersections are property access. They are free of any at-grade crossings with other roads, railways, or pedestrian paths, which are instead carried by overpasses and underpasses across the highway. Entrances and exits to the highway are provided at interchanges by slip roads, which allow for speed changes between the highway and arterial roads and collector roads. On the controlled access highway, opposing directions of travel are generally separated by a median strip, a central reservation containing a traffic barrier, grass. Elimination of the sources of potential conflicts with other directions of travelers dramatically improves safety and capacity. Controlled access highways evolved during the first half of the 20th century. Italy opened its first autostrada in 1924 connecting Milan to Varese. Germany began to build its first 30-kilometer Autobahn controlled access highway without speed limits in 1932 between Cologne and Bonn. It then rapidly constructed a nationwide system of such roads in anticipation of their use in the Second World War. The first North American freeways opened in the New York City area in the 1920s. Britain, heavily influenced by the railways, did not build its first motorway, the Preston Bypass, until 1958. Most technologically advanced nations feature an extensive network of freeways or motorways to provide high-capacity urban travel, or high-speed rural travel, or both. Many have a national level or even international level system of route numbering. Definition standards. There are several international standards which give some definitions of words such as motorways, but there is no formal definition of the English language words motorway, freeway, and expressway, or of the equivalent words in other languages such as autoroute, autobahn, autostrada, autocesta, that are accepted worldwide. In most cases, these words are defined by local statute, design standards, or regional international treaties. Descriptions that are widely used include Vienna Convention on road signs and signals. Motorway means a road specially designed and built for motor traffic, which does not serve properties bordering on it, and which is provided, except at special points, temporarily, with separate carriageways for the two directions of traffic, separated from each other either by a dividing strip not intended for traffic or, exceptionally, by other means. Does not cross at level with any road, railway or tramway track, or footpath, and is specially signposted as a motorway. One green or blue symbol appears at motorway entry in countries which follow Vienna Convention. Exit is marked with another symbol. The definitions of motorway from the OECD and PIARC are almost identical. British standards motorway, limited access dual carriageway road, not crossed on the same level by other traffic lanes, for the exclusive use of certain classes of motor vehicle. ITE Freeway, a divided major roadway with full control of access and with no crossings at grade. This definition applies to toll as well as toll-free roads. Freeway. This designates roadways with greater visual complexity and high traffic volumes. Usually this type of freeway will be found in metropolitan areas in and near the central core and will operate through much of the early evening hours of darkness at a near design capacity. Freeway B. This designates all other divided roadways with full control of access where lighting is needed. In the European Union, for statistic and safety purposes, some distinction might be made between motorway and expressway. For instance, a principal arterial might be considered as roads serving long-distance and mainly interurban movements. Includes motorways and expressways. Principal arterials may cross through urban areas, serving suburban movements. The traffic is characterized by high speeds and full or partial access control. Other roads leading to a principal arterial are connected to it through side collector roads. In this view, CARE's definition stands that a motorway is understood as a public road with dual carriageways and at least 2 lanes each way. All entrances and exits are signposted and all interchanges are grade separated. Central barrier or median present throughout the road. No crossing is permitted, while stopping is permitted only in an emergency. Restricted access to motor vehicles prohibited to pedestrians, animals, pedal cycles, mopeds, agricultural vehicles. The minimum speed is not lower than 50 km per hour and the maximum speed is not higher than 130 km per hour. Motorways are designed to carry heavy traffic at high speed with the lowest possible number of accidents. They are also designed to collect long-distance traffic from other roads, so that conflicts between long-distance traffic and local traffic are avoided. According to the common European definition, a motorway is defined as a road specially designed and built for motor traffic, which does not serve properties bordering on it, and which is provided, except at special points temporarily, with separate carriageways for the 2 directions of traffic, separated from each other, either by a dividing strip not intended for traffic, or exceptionally by other means. Does not cross at level with any road, railway or tramway track, or footpath, is specially signposted as a motorway and is reserved for specific categories of road motor vehicles. Urban motorways are also included in this definition. However, the respective national definitions and the type of roads covered may present slight differences in different EU countries. History. The first version of modern controlled access highways evolved during the first half of the 20th century. The Long Island Motor Parkway in Long Island, New York, opened in 1908 as a private venture, was the world's first limited-access roadway. It included many modern features, including banked turns, guardrails and reinforced concrete tarmac. Modern controlled access highways originated in the early 1920s in response to the rapidly increasing use of the automobile. The demand for faster movement between cities and as a consequence of improvements in paving processes, techniques and materials. These original high-speed roads were referred to as dual highways and, while divided, bore little resemblance to the highways of today. Opened in 1921, the AVUS in Berlin is the oldest controlled access highway in Europe, although it was initially opened as a racetrack. The first dual highway opened in Italy in 1924, between Milan and Varese, and now forms parts of the A8 and A9 motorways. This highway, while divided, contained only 1 lane in each direction and no interchanges. Shortly thereafter, in New York in 1924, the Bronx River Parkway was opened to traffic. The Bronx River Parkway was the first road in North America to utilize a median strip to separate the opposing lanes, to be constructed through park and where intersecting streets crossed over bridges. The Southern State Parkway opened in 1927, while the Long Island Motor Parkway was closed in 1937 and replaced by the Northern State Parkway and the contiguous Grand Central Parkway. In Germany, construction of the Bonn-Cologne Autobahn began in 1929 and was opened in 1932 by the mayor of Cologne. In Canada, the first city-to-city controlled access road was the Queen Elizabeth Way, which featured a cloverleaf and trumpet interchange when it opened in 1937, and until the Second World War, boasted the longest illuminated stretch of roadway built. A decade later, the first section of Highway 401 was opened, based on earlier designs. It has since gone on to become the busiest highway in the world. The word freeway was first used in February 1930 by Edward M. Bassett. Bassett argued that roads should be classified into three basic types: highways, parkways, and freeways. In Bassett's zoning and property law-based system, abutting property owners have the rights of light, air, and access to highways, but not parkways and freeways. The latter two are distinguished in that the purpose of a parkway is recreation, while the purpose of a freeway is movement. Thus, as originally conceived, a freeway is simply a strip of public land devoted to movement to which abutting property owners do not have rights of light, air, or access. Design. Freeways, by definition, have no at-grade intersections with other roads. Railroads are multi-use trails. Movable bridges, such as the Interstate Bridge on Interstate 5 between Oregon and Washington, do require drivers to stop for ship traffic. The crossing of freeways by other routes is typically achieved with grade separation, either in the form of underpasses or overpasses. In addition to sidewalks attached to roads that cross a freeway, specialized pedestrian footbridges or tunnels may also be provided. These structures enable pedestrians and cyclists to cross the freeway at that point without a detour to the nearest road crossing. Access to freeways is typically provided only at grade-separated interchanges, though lower standard right-in, right-out access can be used for direct connections to side roads. In many cases, sophisticated interchanges allow for smooth, uninterrupted transitions between intersecting freeways and busy arterial roads. However, sometimes it is necessary to exit onto a surface road to transfer from one freeway to another. One example in the United States is the connection from Interstate 70 to the Pennsylvania Turnpike through the town of Breezewood, Pennsylvania. Speed limits are generally higher on freeways and are occasionally non-existent, because higher speeds reduce decision time. Freeways are usually equipped with a larger number of guide signs than other roads, and the signs themselves are physically larger. Guide signs are often mounted on overpasses or overhead gantries so that drivers can see where each lane goes. Exit numbers are commonly derived from the exit distance in miles or kilometers from the start of the freeway. In some areas, there are public rest areas or service areas on freeways, as well as emergency phones on the shoulder at regular intervals. In the United States, mileposts start at the southern or westernmost point on the freeway. California, Ohio, and Nevada use post-mile systems in which the markers indicate mileage through the state's individual counties. However, Nevada and Ohio, and some freeways that pass through Kern County, California, also use the standard milepost system concurrently with the respective post-mile systems. Cross-sections. Two-lane freeways, often undivided, are sometimes built when traffic volumes are low or right-of-way is limited. They may be designed for easy conversion to one side of a four-lane freeway. These are often called Super 2 roads. Several such roads are infamous for a high rate of lethal crashes, an outcome because they were designed for short side distances. An example of such a highway to hell was European Route E4 from Gävle to Axmartavlan, Sweden. The high rate of crashes with severe personal injuries on that roads did not cease until a median crash barrier was installed, transforming the fatal crashes into non-fatal crashes. Otherwise, freeways typically have at least 2 lanes in each direction. Some busy ones can have as many as 16 or more lanes in total. In San Diego, California, Interstate 5 has a similar system of express and local lanes for a maximum width of 21 lanes on a 3.2-kilometre segment between Interstate 805 and California State Route 56. In Mississauga, Ontario, Highway 401 uses collector express lanes for a total of 18 lanes through its intersection with Highway 403, Highway 410 and Highway 427. These wide freeways may use separate collector and express lanes to separate through traffic from a local traffic, or special high-occupancy vehicle lanes, either as a special restriction on the innermost lane or a separate roadway, to encourage carpooling. These HOV lanes, or roadways open to all traffic, can be reversible lanes, providing more capacity in the direction of heavy traffic, and reversing direction before traffic switches. Sometimes a collector, distributor road, a shorter version of a local lane, shifts weaving between closely spaced interchanges to a separate roadway or altogether eliminates it. In some parts of the world, notably parts of the U.S., frontage roads form an integral part of the freeway system. These parallel surface roads provide a transition between high-speed, through traffic and local traffic. Frequent slip ramps provide access between the freeway and the frontage road, which in turn provides direct access to local roads and businesses. Except on some 2-lane freeways, a median separates the opposite directions of traffic. This strip may be as simple as a grassy area, or may include a crash barrier such as a Jersey barrier or an Ontario tall wall to prevent head-on collisions. On some freeways, the 2 carriageways are built on different alignments. This may be done to make use of available corridors in a mountainous area or to provide narrower corridors through dense urban areas. Control of access. Control of access relates to a legal status which limits the types of vehicles that can use a highway, as well as a road design that limits the points at which they can access it. Freeways are usually limited to motor vehicles of a minimum power or weight. Signs may prohibit cyclists, pedestrians and equestrians and impose a minimum speed. It is possible for non-motorized traffic to use facilities within the same right-of-way, such as sidewalks constructed along freeway standard bridges and multi-use paths next to freeways such as the Suncoast Trail along the Suncoast Parkway in Florida. In some U.S. jurisdictions, especially where freeways replace existing roads, non-motorized access on freeways is permitted. Different states of the United States have different laws. Cycling on freeways in Arizona may be prohibited only where there is an alternative route judged equal or better for cycling. Wyoming, the least populated state, allows cycling on all freeways. Oregon allows bicycles except on specific urban freeways in Portland and Medford. In countries such as the United Kingdom, new motorways require an act of Parliament to ensure restricted right-of-way. Since upgrading an existing existing road to a full motorway will result in extinguishing the right of access of certain groups such as pedestrians, cyclists and slow-moving traffic. Many controlled access roads are not full motorways. In some cases, motorways are linked by short stretches of road where alternative rights of way are not practicable, such as the Dartford crossing, or where it was not economic to build a motorway alongside the existing road, such as the former Cumberland Gap. The A1 is a good example of piecewise upgrading to motorway standard. As of January 2013, the 639-kilometer-long route had 5 stretches of motorway. Continental European non-motorway dual carriageways can have limits as high as 110 to 130 kilometers per hour. U.S. Route 23 in Ohio has a speed limit as high as 65 miles per hour but isn't legally a freeway class road since it has no disclaimers saying that low-speed vehicles are prohibited. It also has at-grade intersections like expressway class roadways. Research shows 85% of motor vehicle bicycle crashes follow turning a crossing at intersections. Freeway travel eliminates almost all those conflicts save at entrance and exit ramps, which, at least on those freeways where cycling has not been banned, have sufficient room and sight for cyclists and motorists. An analysis of crashes in Arizona showed no safety problems with cycling on freeways. Fewer than one motor vehicle bicycle crash a year was recorded on nearly 3,200 shoulder kilometers open to cyclists in Arizona. Major arterial roads will often have partial access control, meaning that side roads will intersect the main road at grade, instead of using interchanges, but driveways may not connect directly to the main road, and drivers must use intersecting roads to access adjacent land. There may be occasional interchanges with other major arterials. Examples include US 23 between Senior 15's eastern terminus and Delaware, Ohio, along with State Route 15 between its eastern terminus and I-75, US 30, State Route 29, US 33, and US 35 in western and central Ohio. This type of road is sometimes called an expressway. Construction techniques. The most frequent way freeways are laid out is usually by building them from the ground up after things such as forestry or buildings are cleared away. Sometimes they deplete farmland, but other methods have been developed for economic, social and even environmental reasons. Full freeways are sometimes made by converting at-grade expressways or by replacing at-grade intersections with overpasses. However, any at-grade intersection that ends a freeway remains. Often, when there is a two-lane undivided freeway or expressway, it is converted by constructing a twin corridor on the side by leaving a median between the two travel directions. The opposing side for the old two-way corridor becomes a passing lane. Other techniques involve building a new carriageway on the side of a divided highway that has a lot of private access on one side and sometimes has long driveways on the other side, since an easement for widening comes into place, especially in rural areas. When a third carriageway is added, sometimes it can shift a directional carriageway by 50 to 200 feet as a way to retain private access on one side that favors over the other. Other methods involve constructing a service drive that shortens the long driveways. Intersections and access points. An intersection is a highway layout that permits traffic from one controlled access highway to access another and vice versa, whereas an access point is a highway layout where traffic from a distributor or local road can join a controlled access highway. Some countries, such as the United Kingdom, do not distinguish between the two, but others, such as Germany, make a distinction using the word Kreuz for the former and Ausfahrt for the other. In all cases, one road crosses the other via a bridge. The interconnecting roads, or slip roads, which link the two roads, can follow any one of a number of patterns. The actual pattern is determined by a number of factors including local topology, traffic density, land cost, building costs, type of road, etc. In some jurisdictions, feeder distributor lanes are common, especially for cloverleaf interchanges. In others, such as the United Kingdom, where the roundabout interchange is common, feeder distributor lanes are seldom seen. A few of the more common types of junction are shown below. Safety. Motorways are the safest roads by design. While accounting for more than 1/4 of all kilometers driven, they contributed only 8% of the total number of European road deaths in 2006. Germany's Federal Highway Research Institute provided international road traffic and accident database statistics for the year 2010, comparing overall fatality rates with motorway rates. There are many differences between countries in the geography, economy, traffic growth, highway system size, degree of urbanization and motorization, etc., all of which need to be taken into consideration when comparisons are made. According to Vinci Autoroutes, 1/3 of accidents in French motorways are due to sleepy driving. The German Autobahn network illustrates the safety trade-offs of controlled access highways. The injury crash rate is very low on autobahns, while 22 people died per 1,000 injury crashes, although autobahns have a lower rate than the 29 deaths per 1,000 injury accidents on conventional rural roads. The rate is higher than the risk on urban roads. Speeds are higher on rural roads and autobahns than urban roads, increasing the severity potential of a crash. According to ESDC, German motorways without a speed limit, but with a 130 km/h speed recommendation, are 3 times more deadly than motorways with a speed limit. Germany also introduced some 130 km/h speed limits on various motorway sections which were not limited. This generated a reduction in deaths in a range from 20% to 50% on those sections. Per 1 billion travel kilometers,